overpopulation has severely depleted the world's resources in the near future. The UN now requires countries to cut their populations by 5% annually. American students must take a yearly standardized test to survive. The lowest scoring students are always executed. This test is called the 10-241, but everyone nicknames it the thinning. With 18 hours left, Lena tutors Simon at a desk. Younger siblings play on tablets on the bed behind them. Simon drops his pen in frustration and begs for help. He quickly hands a thick stack of cash to Lena. She accepts the money and grabs a small lens case. It holds special contact lenses that provide the test answers. Lena hands him the lenses and warns him to flush them afterward. Lena quickly answers her ringing phone at the bedroom desk. A doctor says her mother wants an early hospital discharge. Lena tells him to stall and rushes there with siblings. Her mother is already signing discharge paperwork on a tablet. The doctor pulls Lena aside and refuses her cash envelope. He explains her mother is worsening and treatments will fail. That evening, only 12 hours remain before the dangerous exam. Blake tells his bodyguards he wants a late kitchen snack. He secretly climbs a dark fence and meets girlfriend Ellie. The mood turns awkward as they remember the deadly test. They decide to distract themselves from their growing internal fear. The young couple sneaks into another mansion's quiet backyard pool. Ellie takes off her shirt and jumps into the water. Blake removes his black hoodie and dives in right afterward. Blake and Ellie sit inside the dark car, kissing intensely. Ellie pulls away because she fears the upcoming test. A bright flashlight beam suddenly hits the car window. A stern bodyguard stands outside and escorts Blake home. Blake enters a dim office inside his large house. Governor Dean sits at a desk in a patterned robe. He eats a packaged pastry and scolds his son. He says Blake must study now and play later. Dean calls Ellie a major distraction until graduation next year. Blake stays quiet and looks completely unconvinced by him. Dean walks over and hugs his son anyway. 3 hours before the test, the school is fully guarded. Armed men in black gear patrol the tall chain fences. Thick barbed wire and security cameras surround the modern building. The guards watch closely so nobody escapes the perimeter. Simon arrives and walks up the crowded concrete ramp. Another passing student accidentally bumps hard into his shoulder. Simon drops his bag and his small, hidden contact lenses. He falls to his knees and frantically searches the floor. A tall, masked guard steps close and looks down. The scary guard orders him to keep moving forward. Simon quickly grabs his bag and hurries away inside. The arriving students share sad goodbyes with their weeping parents. Masked guards carefully search through backpacks inside gray plastic bins. Blake walks over to Lena near the tall concrete building. He nervously asks to buy one of her study guides. Lena shakes her head and says she has none left. Nearby, a guard waves a blue scanner over a boy's arm. Hidden glowing letters suddenly appear directly on his bare skin. The panicked boy immediately turns around and runs away fast. Kellen taps his small tablet to hack his dad's account. He pulls up the live security video of the chase. A guard throws a net and traps the fleeing boy. Kellen copies this footage and sends it to a reporter. A masked guard uses a tablet to initiate the lockdown. Metal shutters quickly slide down over the large school windows. Miss Birch tries to comfort the nervous students in class. She gently assures them that there is always a chance. Mr. Glass steps forward to remind everyone of the rules. They have exactly 2 hours to finish the entire test. Their eyes must never look away from their own tablets. He also warns them that all test grades are final. The test begins as the classroom lights slowly dim down. Everyone concentrates on answering the questions on their glowing tablets. However, it is very clear that many students are struggling. When time is up, the students quickly drop their tablets. A guard checks the final results on multiple computer screens. The teachers are completely heartbroken to read the lowest scores. Mr. Glass reads the failing names from a tablet. Masked guards forcefully grab each called student. When some kids resist, the guards violently drag them away. Mr. Glass finally calls Ellie, and a guard instantly pulls her away from Blake. Miss Birch tells the remaining students they passed. In the hallway, Lena sadly watches a young boy being led away. A desperate Blake calls his father to save Ellie. His dad firmly refuses to bend the rigid law. Blake hangs up his phone in pure anger. He pushes through the crowded corridor to reach the guards. He shoves one guard hard against the wall. Then he grabs a red fire extinguisher and smashes him. Blake jumps onto a second guard, wrestling him to the floor. He frantically screams at Ellie to run. She immediately sprints away down the hall. However, the other confused students block her path. 2 guards quickly catch her as she screams in absolute terror. Meanwhile, the guards pin Blake tightly against the wall. He screams helplessly as Ellie is dragged to her death. A full year passes, and the test is 24 hours away. Sarah hates her math homework and cannot handle studying anymore. She finds Mr. Glass alone in an empty lecture hall. She gets a passing grade by offering him a sexual favor. Meanwhile, Lena packs cardboard boxes with her 2 younger siblings. The family is grieving the recent loss of their mother. Miss Birch arrives at their front door with a casserole. She offers support since the little ones take their first test. Later, Miss Birch walks outside and spots a black car. She watches Sarah step out of Mr. Glass's vehicle. At the governor's mansion, Blake Blake sits at his dark desk. He places his tablet down and hits the record button. He says he is dead if anyone watches this video. Lena walks beside a tall fence with her siblings. She quizzes them on facts before reaching the school. At the house, Dean walks into Blake's bedroom unannounced. Blake hides a sealed yellow envelope on his desk. Dean tries to offer supportive words to his son. Blake coldly tells his father to save it for speeches. Later, Blake drops the yellow envelope into a blue mailbox. A bodyguard retrieves the envelope and gives it to Dean. Soon, the school starts its strict lockdown sequence. Older students take seats inside a large lecture hall. Young children sit quietly on the floor in another room. A teacher plays an animated video about saving the Earth. The cartoon shows nations killing elders or limiting births. It claims America keeps only the smartest citizens to stay great. The kids grab their blue tablets and begin the test. Teen watches his son's video on a large television screen. Blake plans to fail the test to punish his father. A panicked Dean demands his son be brought home immediately. A bodyguard states that the building is on complete lockdown. Dean throws a heavy chair and orders his guards out. Then, security head Mason gets a call in a blue-lit room. In the dim classroom, Blake rapidly taps incorrect tablet answers. He finishes the test very early and submits his final work. The teacher watches him closely and finds his speed strange. Inside the kindergarten class, a small boy raises his hand. The teacher approaches, but a dark-clad guard watches them closely. She softly tells the boy she cannot help him today. Eventually, the large digital wall clock counts down to 0. The teacher announces time is up, and students lower their tablets. Now, Mason calculates the test results alone on his computer. The teachers begin calling out the failing student names. A guard grabs the boy who asked for help. Sarah screams in terror when her name is called. Callan and the younger siblings safely pass the exam. Blake realizes he also passed the difficult test. He watches the classroom chaos with visible shock. Birch stares at her grading tablet in complete disbelief. She reads Lana's name aloud with a shaky voice. Guards quickly grab Lana and pull her away. Meanwhile, Mason speaks with the governor on a phone. He confirms the requested score transfer is now complete. Later, masked guards march the failed students down a hallway. Birch runs forward to desperately beg the escort. She asks the guard to check Lana's score again. The guard radios Mason inside the blue control room. Mason simply orders them to keep the line moving. Birch steps forward and tightly hugs the crying girl. She secretly slides a plastic keycard into Lena's hand. Birch whispers that there is always a fighting chance. Soon after, a neon school party finally begins. Birch glares across the crowded purple-lit dance floor. She watches Glass happily dancing with another student. Dean speaks at a large public event while a huge crowd cheers. His speech also plays on a television at the school party. Dean lists his state improvements and defends the thinning as a great innovation. A news banner announces his presidential campaign, and Blake leaves in disgust. In a dark hallway, a voice orders the failed kids to strip. A masked guard violently hits a terrified boy for hesitating. Lena quickly hides the small keycard inside her mouth. The shivering kids receive blue prison clothes and enter another room. Guards lock the crying students into seats with heavy metal restraints. Nearby, Blake sneaks into a quiet corridor and leans against the wall. He groans loudly and pretends to feel very sick. A guard walks over, but Blake suddenly jumps on the man. He steals the guard's weapon and quickly knocks him out. At the party, a boy logs into a device under purple lights. He views a live security feed of the failed students. The painful sight makes him quickly turn his eyes away. Elsewhere, Blake hides an unconscious guard in the hallway. He waits for a scarred man to exit the control room. Blake sneaks inside and checks the large computer monitors. The secure system blocks him by demanding a login password. In a dark room, guards prepare large metal syringes. Blake pulls out wires from an open electrical box. Meanwhile, the scarred man discovers the hidden unconscious guard. Blake suddenly cuts the power to the entire building. Red emergency lights turn on inside the holding room. The electronic handcuffs fail and free the terrified students. Chaos erupts as the students fight the armed guards. Lena uses this violent distraction to reach the exit door. She quickly slides a keycard and escapes the chaotic room. The scarred man hurries back into the control room. Blake watches him through a grate from the ceiling vents. The man realizes the computer system is completely down. He orders the guards to bring Victor Woods to fix it. At the lively dance party, armed guards locate Kellen's dad. They report a minor power outage and take him away. Mason checks on the captured students in a dark room. The failed students are firmly handcuffed to their chairs again. Mason strictly orders his guards to perform a head count. The guards quickly notice that one student is currently missing. Meanwhile, Kellen's dad starts working on an open electrical box. In a red-lit corridor, Lena hides inside an open locker. A masked guard walks right past her dark hiding spot. Lena then tries to open a door with her keycard. The broken scanner flashes red and completely denies her access. Another guard suddenly spots the girl standing in the dark. Lena uses a voice modifier to pretend she is Birch. When the guard turns away, Lena jumps onto his back. The strong guard easily overpowers her and kicks her down. Suddenly, Blake drops down from a dark ceiling vent. He swings a heavy metal bar to attack the guard. Blake quickly knocks the man out against the metal lockers. Blake checks on Lena and admits he failed his test on purpose. Lena looks confused and realizes something is wrong with the results. Blake pulls a red wall lever to trigger a loud alarm. Mason orders his masked guards to maintain the strict school lockdown. He ignores the anxious parents waiting outside for their children. Blake and Lena escape by climbing into a dark air vent. Inside the duct, Blake accuses Lena of exploiting desperate students. Lena looks hurt and explains she needed money for her mother's treatments. Blake looks down in guilt and quietly apologizes to her. Lena then softly admits she always had a crush on him. At the governor's home, a man informs Dean about the prolonged school shutdown. Dean acts surprised but pretends to be in complete control. Later in his car, Dean watches a live news feed on his tablet. A reporter outside the school interviews worried parents about the ongoing lockdown crisis. Meanwhile, Mason walks down a hallway illuminated by red lights. He orders the gathered teachers to present their keycards. He stops directly in front of Birch, but his cell phone suddenly rings loudly. The angry governor yells at him to solve the crisis immediately. Mason calmly promises to fix the situation. Back in the vents, Blake and Lena slowly crawl forward. The metal floor suddenly breaks open beneath their weight. Blake falls straight down and crashes into a dark swimming pool. Lena tumbles into the water right after him. She swims down and finds Blake sinking and completely unconscious. Lena grabs him tightly and drags his body up to the edge. She immediately performs chest compressions and gives him CPR. Blake soon coughs up pool water and wakes up. They walk over to some nearby red lockers. Lena finds some clean, dry clothes. They turn their backs to each other and silently change. Lena spots a large metal vent near the ceiling and says they must climb back up. Down at the loud party, purple lights fill the room. A bald student demands to leave, but a guard hits him. Kellen secretly records this violent physical abuse on his phone. Meanwhile, Lena and Blake slowly crawl through a ceiling duct. Lena's keycard slips out and falls onto the red-lit floor. Two armed guards approach the corridor below the hiding teens. Blake quickly covers Lena's mouth tightly to keep her silent. Luckily, the men walk past the dropped keycard without noticing. Next, the duo drops down into the dark anatomy lab. Their clumsy landing makes a loud noise in the room. A guard hears this thud and heads in their direction. Lena finds a paperclip and some wire inside a drawer. She creates a makeshift magnet rod to retrieve the card. The angry guard arrives and violently rattles the locked door. Blake swiftly boosts Lena back up into the open vent. He stays behind in the room as a living distraction. Blake tackles the man, leaving the guard unconscious on the floor. Up in the dusty vent, Lena carefully lowers her makeshift magnet string. The magnet hooks the dropped keycard through the metal grate. She pulls the string up, but a masked guard suddenly grabs it. The guard removes his mask, revealing a smiling Blake in uniform. Elsewhere, a beaten guard reports to a mustached leader in a red room. He explains that a student and a teacher named Birch attacked him. In another dim room, the hostage teachers wait nervously together. Birch steps close to a teacher named Glass and smiles at him. She smoothly unclips the keycard from his lanyard without him noticing. Later, the mustached man approaches the captive teachers to check their IDs. Birch confidently presents the stolen keycard, claiming it as her own. The guards then notice that Glass is missing his required card. The other teachers are dismissed, but the guards grab Glass. The angry leader violently shoves Glass to the floor and kicks him. He loudly demands to know where to find the escaped teenagers. Lana pushes up a floor tile and climbs into a dark server room. The monitor asks for Mason's password, so she messages Kellen for help. Elsewhere, a man plugs in a cable and restores the power. At the neon-lit party, Kellen reads Lana's message on his phone. He smiles and forwards a video of Mason typing his password. Lana watches the screen and copies Mason's exact keystrokes. The system grants her access to the grading database. She searches for her sister Corinne and smiles at the passing score. Lana checks her own results next and stares in shock. She got a 98%, but the system still failed her. She looks up other students and sees Blake passed with 15%. Ellie Harper failed the test with an 88% score. The governor has clearly been altering the results on purpose. Suddenly, a breaking news alert pops up on the monitor. Redding appears on screen giving a live press conference. The banner claims an escaped student is terrorizing the school. Lena watches the broadcast with wide, terrified eyes. News reporter checks her phone outside the school. Kellen sends her a video of guards violently beating students. The reporter immediately airs this shocking footage on national television. Lena watches the broadcast on a monitor and smiles. She quickly sends Kellen an email with the manipulated test scores. Meanwhile, a man with glasses spots Lena on a security camera. He alerts his team, so Lena sprints down a white hallway. She suddenly runs right into the man and gets surrounded. She shouts that she has proof she passed the test. A guard ignores her and roughly handcuffs her wrists. At the same time, Blake enters a dim holding room. He wears a stolen guard uniform to hide his identity. He orders the other guards to move the scared students. They refuse and demand direct confirmation from their boss. Blake realizes his cover is blown, so he pulls his baton. He tries fighting, but the guards easily throw him to the floor. At the party, Kellen checks a message on his phone. He sees Lena's screenshots of the real test scores. He forwards the email to a TV news reporter. She immediately goes live on television with the story. She reveals the shocking discovery of testing fraud. She questions why a politician's son benefited from this. At the mansion, Dean's team completely panics. An aide suggests shutting the dangerous mission down, but Dean plans one final move instead. Soon, Lena stands handcuffed with the failed students. A masked guard prepares a metal injection device. Mason calls Dean for final authorization to proceed, but Dean stops him to revise the list. The guards release the students who actually passed. Lena's handcuffs are removed, and she runs to Blake. He sits tied up against a dark wall. She kisses him, but guards quickly drag her away. Meanwhile, masked guards storm the school dance party. They grab the panicked students who truly failed. Blake is now handcuffed alongside the other terrified teens. Guards with metallic guns shoot blue liquid into the students. The terrified teenagers quickly pass out in the dark room. Later, the school lockdown ends and the metal gates open. Relieved students walk outside to find their worried parents waiting. Lena spots her younger siblings and hugs them very tightly. Nearby, heartbroken parents break down because their children are missing. Soon, Dean speaks to reporters at a wooden podium outdoors. He acts deeply sad about his son and blames Mason. Dean firmly claims that no one is above the law. That night, a large truck enters an illegal tech factory. Guards dump the sleeping students into a metal holding cage. Blake slowly opens his eyes and looks around the room. He realizes the terrifying injection was only a heavy sedative. The other teens also wake up and see former students. These missing kids are actively working on the assembly line. A blonde worker turns around and lowers her face mask. Blake stares in absolute shock because Ellie is still alive. Thanks for watching.